Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Samrat. I'm the co-chair of Baseline Protocol Technical Steering Committee. I'm joined with Mark Hattle, who's the co-lead for the outreach team. We bring to you the Baseline show in India every Saturday at 6 p.m. India time, and for Mark, he's in Eastern time, 7:30 in the morning Eastern time. And here we are. What we do every week is we invite speakers from various industries and try to explore various use cases for baseline protocol. Unfortunately, our speaker couldn't make it today. He's Mr. Sumit Nigam from EC Council, the executive director for EC Council, and we were going to talk about cybersecurity. He got his COVID booster shot, and he's having after effects, so he excused, but we still wanted to show and talk to our viewers about what is happening in baseline, what are the updates, and what's the latest in baseline. So yeah, Mark, let's start with you. Do you want to talk about the updates from the outreach team and our new and improved website? How has been the response?
Well, I mean, our website went live 2 weeks ago, or week before last, and I don't have access quite yet for the page metrics. I think what we were going to do is we were going to sit there and go ahead and put it out, and then let everybody know that is there, and this is what functionality we have. We do have some areas that we're still putting the final touches on and stuff. But other than that, I mean, if you want to learn anything, just as a casual observer, the website will get you up and running pretty quickly. And and one of the big things that we want to do is, we when it comes to rolling out a new technology, even if it's a new technique of an emerging technology, what you want to do is you want to make it as easily understandable and consumable as possible. And so many of us have been veterans of blockchain projects in the past, and we were so passionate about the technology, and we were so excited about what it could do and stuff. And we started talking all about this new technology. I mean, with all of the different jargon and vocabulary that came with it, and most of the people we were trying to evangelize this to are completely lost because it's flying over the heads of so many of the people that are listening to you, and pretty soon they'll stop listening to you. And so what we want to do is we're being extremely careful to make this through the eyes of the user or through the eyes of the reader, and make it as uh, intuitive. Like we want to make sure that what's being heard is basically landing well. I think before we basically just talked about what we were, or concentrated on what we were trying to say, and we're trying to not make that same mistake again. So one of the new things that we have is how to get baselined. I mean, this is what it we can tell you really seed the garden, as it were. To you can go ahead and access the code and start sandboxing it, and play around with the test net, and start to gather your own requirements, and then those of your counterparties. And what we're trying to do is make it as easy as possible for you to get started on baselining. We have a new member kit that are for anyone that's new to it. This is everything that you will need to get started. So that rolled out this week, and and we have so much that is still in the works, as far as we want to have pitch decks for anybody that wants to go ahead and take it internally or externally. Because a lot of times, if you have a large enough organization, you're going to have to sell your internal clients before you will ever get a chance to access your actual clients. And so we want to basically make it as easy as possible, or maybe in the sense that we want to remove any excuse you may have to want to get started. So,
Agree, totally agree to that notion, Mark. And yeah, I'm super excited about the new member kit as well. So, Why don't we go ahead and show it to our community members? Of course, it is available to everybody at large. Uh, but yeah, I think it'll be good if we go through it. So just share. Hmm.
There we go.
So here and explaining the circuit without thanking Sonal, our Wonder Woman, who's been instrumental behind putting this together. So yeah, she did a fantastic on the community member starter kit. There's also a welcome message from me and John. Of course, John, you've been doing great stuff at ETH Denver. Thank you so much for all the wonderful. Um, you really bring on the cool stuff in blockchain and we're really excited for what you're doing with Tree Trunk. So kudos on that. Just a quick plug, Trunk. Go to treetrunk.io and check out what John is up to. So yeah, coming back to the new member kit, we have a welcome message here, and of course, what is baseline protocol? It's a descriptor here when it started, who all are involved, who are the founders and the official sponsors right now. We are up to 15 sponsors now, so super amazing. The most active teams are shown here. So you have core devs, you have outreach team, and you have the standards team. Of course, the standard is currently under ratification. So a lot of actually the most of the work of the standards team, the V1 has been done. So that is so they are currently it's sort of a lean phase for the standards team, but yes, outreach team is and under the able leadership of Mark and Melanie, they've been working. I mean, over time for taking the amazing things to market. Of course, I am also involved, and I super enjoy talking to people about what's happening with baseline and what are the possibilities with baselining that various players in the ecosystem can explore. Not just about the ERP players or software players. Even bankers, for example, have started talking about it. We recently got interest from one of the top five infrastructure companies in the world. They are mostly into airports and highways. Their innovation had reached out to me, and of course I can't take names right now because it's all currently under discussion. But yeah, I hope that when it materializes, we will invite them on this show. And yes, of course, the core devs team. There's a reason why it's called core devs. This is at the core of everything which is happening, and I'm glad that there are now 50 plus people working on baseline protocol development and with the grants pool that is now getting created for the next year, with the kind of awareness which is getting created as of now about baseline protocol, I'm sure this number is just going to multiply. So yeah, I'm super excited to see how the core devs team um, transforms. Um, there's a explainer. There's a one, how each is sitting, where is each body sitting in the whole ecosystem of baseline. Where is Oasis? Where is EEA? Where is the PGB and where is the technical steering committee? So it sort of gives a clear to everybody that where are all these parties situated, what do they actually do, and then there are all these important links. The two most important, I just love these two slides. This is the get involved section where people can just come in, they can sign up for all the updates, they can sign up for all meetings that are the periodic meetings which are happening. They can get access to all the documentation and the code, so it's all at one place. And of course, this is one slide that I totally want to have this always on my desktop, which is it's got a link to everything, every important thing related to baseline. So extremely important slide. So anybody who's watching us or today or in future, uh, I'm going to share it. I'm going to share this one more time today via LinkedIn and Twitter. So just download this resource. It's an extremely critical resource if you're interested in baselining new member starter kit. So yeah, that's about it. And there's also FAQs, a lot of questions that community members or new members ask us. Some questions we've tried answering here, and then some key contacts, of course, to keep in touch. The Slack is also here, and there's also a baseline team email. A lot of us are marked on that email, so make sure that you send in your. Uh, it's a very critical time for baseline protocol. I think we are at um, the brink of something really big, um, and I'm super excited that we are all associated with at this time. So with that, yeah, I'll just stop the screen share. I love what is done with this mark, the new member kit.
Oh, it's and look, it is so refreshing to hear because even a lot of the people that I will just casually start talking to because I go to different meetups, both virtual and they're now a lot of them are starting to come back in person. Um, I'm just astonished every single time that I have more and more people that say, "Oh, baseline protocol, oh, this is awesome," and
Yeah,
it's a lot of the people that I have that are familiar with blockchain and even a few have worked with it for a while, and ran into a lot of the same problems everyone else was running into as far as scalability. Um, or maybe the approach that they took was well-meaning, but it really was not going to cover that last mile. Um, and a lot of that you're seeing within the enterprise focused blockchain enabled um, uh, projects and stuff to where everybody was trying to chase that single source of truth, and so we can have that type of transparency across all the stakeholders within an enterprise, because it broke down all of the gatekeeping, and everybody was able to at least have an access to the same copy of the ledgers as everyone else. One thing that you come to find out in doing that is when it comes to transparency, some is good, but more is not necessarily better. We don't want that much transparency. So, or you've given us a solution that is, so much more robust than anything that we would probably ever need. You know, I would tell people they're trying to water their flower garden, on their windowsill with a fire hose. It's just too much. And but I'm seeing so many, people from so many different industries that have heard of this and are aware. And now that I can tell them, here's a place that you can go and get up to speed. Um, as best as I could probably explain it to you. One industry, especially in the U.S., that has gotten an enormous amount of interest is within healthcare. Within the past month, I've been panel on three different panels that are healthcare um, related, and baseline is almost tailor made for it because healthcare has a very robust, very draconian data privacy framework, with HIPAA and PHI, and you have so many of the people within the space. They want to innovate, but they say I can't because of this data privacy framework. And baseline is perfect because you are maintaining your existing shared business logic. You're maintaining your existing security profile. What we're doing here is we are just proving that constant state of synchronization between everybody involved. And that gets a lot of attention because you don't have to come in and rearrange your furniture within your architecture. And it's one of those where everybody involved within the decision is happy with it because they're going to wind up. The security people really enjoy it because data at rest is so much easier to secure than data in motion, and so what everybody they're extremely happy. And again, it's one of those where so many people say is there's got to be more to it than this. And I'm like, well, there is, but it's already there and you're already using it and you already know much about it. We basically are putting a bridge to all of your different counterparties that this is a way that you can sync up. And since most people, their operational cost and their time and inefficiency and friction, comes from, the problems with this out of sync data, to where, do I want to make sure that my data set matches that of my counterparty? And within healthcare, particularly, we say if we're out of sync, the make good on that um, is so time consuming that um, it's just it takes so much time just to complete a work step because you don't have the data, or you're waiting on it from your counterparty, and or you have to try and go through stuff, through your next workflow with incomplete data. It's just not going to work that well. So that's the big thing with Baseline right now is we want to get everyone excited and getting up and using it, and we have several high profile clients that are have been working on this for over a year now, and are so much closer than they ever could if they were trying to still implement a blockchain solution that so many of us were trying to put together. So that's really what I'm seeing is there's so much mind share out there, and it's growing day by day. And a lot of it just seems to be not because of our direct efforts, but because of we're at least having the visibility and the grapevine within the developer and within the business community is really starting to talk about it. And what we really enjoy is hearing from these people that um, I that they're not really in the technical forums. But these are the people that are the decision makers that have control over the budget that can actually move a project like this, to fruition without an enormous financial investment. So that's one of the things I kind of hear every once in a while is it really that simple? And I'm like, it really is that simple, and that's by design. So it's almost boring. And as John Wolpert loves to say, boring is the new exciting. Um, we don't want to put all of this flash and stuff on there because it's not really what it's for. We're here to match everyone up, in a multi-party environment. So you can go ahead and get done what you needed to get done as quickly as possible and quit worrying about, all this back and forth, trying to get everybody's, data sets in sync. So it's really that simple. You disappeared for a while, Samrat. Our studio audience is sitting back wondering, going, can you even hear us? I guess not. So the technical aspects that we have, for people that have the, wide range and depth of experience with different collaboration tools, and yet we still are working with, the problems of trying to get it together. We almost seem like, clumsy school children that are trying to, work this the first time, like on Christmas morning or, some morning where you get a gift and, you're still trying to learn how to use it, even though you may learn how to use 10 other things that are similar to it. It's just this one thing that you have to try and put together. So Samrat, I think, has dropped off, and he is coming back on, or at least I hope is trying to come back on. So does anyone have any questions or anything like that that they want to put in the chat? um, I don't have host rights, and I'm really kind of the second chair on this one, so I'm just trying to keep us from having dead air here. This is not our finest hour.
Meanwhile,
There we are.
I don't know what's happening with my connection, but I'm in and out all the time. So, but yeah, I could hear all of what you were saying on YouTube. So I have my YouTube stream live. So
Well,
all
well,
that.
well, I- well I noticed that you dropped off, and I'm sitting back here going, "Okay, I am walking this tightrope without a net." So, Tom Met, and I know who you are. Are we also involved with the tree trunk project? Peripherally, right now, we're paying attention to a lot of the things that they're putting out. They just went live. They rolled it out yesterday at Denver, and the tree trunk project is something that's been incubating for, I'm going to say, the past 6 or 7 months. And it started off that we were looking at what is a persistent problem that tokenization could um,
Hmm.
could address. And it actually really moved away from like invoice financing and really expanded, even mushroomed even more, to where you have people that are buying and selling and people that are interacting, are probably going to involve some type of exchange of value,
Hmm.
and whether it's going to be royalties or whether it's going to be a way of consuming non-fungible tokens and stuff. And right now, since it is the brand new, early dawn of this, still of this whole concept, um, you're starting to emerge some of the cracks and some of the flaws in it because we haven't quite, fully baked every aspect of it. Because one thing that you're coming to find out is uh, you're seeing more people that are starting to offer these NFT type projects. How do they know that this NFT is actual, is actually put together? And putting, in the tree trunk code base, we started to really jump out at a couple of other different possibilities there, because we could prove that there was a parent-child relationship with the base code of each NFT, proving that it is um, you know, valid, it is genuine, it hasn't been altered. Because right now because we don't really have any framework, we don't have any standards. I mean, standards outside of the token taxonomy. Um, how are we going to do this? And you're going to have some just consequence of taking this approach start to emerge. We're starting to see, on the legal aspect, people are starting to, we want to mint these NFTs of content, whether it's artwork or whether it's something else that they do not own the intellectual property for, you know, and or you'll have some that will come in there and really almost defeat the purpose of non-fungible tokens, to where someone will we're going to mint an NFT of the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
You know, now we know that's not the real Mona Lisa. The real Mona Lisa is in the Louvre in Paris, and we know you didn't paint that, and we know it's not yours. So why are you issuing this non-fungible token about it? These really are not helpful, you know.
You know,
But
Mark, yeah, I read the news just yesterday, and it was mentioning that the NFT sales have gone down 30%.
well, again, yeah, it was we put way too much out too quickly, and everybody wanted to take it. Oh, and saying I understand 20% of this, and uh, but I should be able to at least fake it, to do the other 80. And I'm like, well, the technology is going to make sure that you don't. And that is another consequence of decentralization, is whatever it is you're going to do is going to be, you know, addressable and visible to anyone else who wants to pay attention. And I think to talk about that is one thing, but to see it in on the ground, to say, hey, it's not quite working this way. And people say, well, why do you do it that way? And I'm like, you know, to sit there and, prevent the unscrupulous, or whether it's unscrupulous or at least the incomplete or at least the error prone. Um, we want to be able to, really advance the technology and, the same time, you have to account for that there's going to be some type of projects out there or actions out there that probably are not in the best interest, but this is how you learn. So, and it's a good thing to, it keeps everybody talking about, uh, talking about the technology and how it can be used. It's one of the big things that we, start doing, especially with these baseline shows, as well as all the other enablement materials, is we want people thinking and conceptualizing. So what could I use this for? So, um, we're all very excited about this, and what we want to do is,
Absolutely. The first, I think it's now a clear race between Kona and Tree Trunk to, who's going to be the first production grade deployment of baselining. And yeah, I hope it's Tree Trunk,
well,
That's
and
my,
not only that, I mean, there's a couple of other projects that are emerging out of the mist that really start to, they may not be as attractive, or they're kind of boring, but they deal with a lot of the plumbing and mechanisms that make this work, especially when it comes to liquidity, to be
yeah,
able to have a liquidity pool. And I was actually trying to explain this on Wednesday night. I was at a crypto meetup, and they're like, what is the whole thing when it comes to liquidity pools? And I'm like, well, you've got a lot of people that are really, getting involved, and if they want to start doing swaps, for if their coin has really advanced, or they want to even buy something else, um, there has to be a take away from one and add to the other. And so if you're going to sell a coin or a token, there has to be a buyer for it. And sometimes, you may have to wait for a little while to find somebody to find a buyer for your token or your coin. Liquidity pools are allowed to say, hey, we have a whole pool of people, so we can go ahead and execute and complete that transaction. Liquidity pools are essential, and this is the way that keeps the entire process moving, so that you don't have to always have the buyer and seller always align. We can go ahead and complete the transaction using a fictional seller, a fictional second piece of that puzzle, from the liquidity pool to make it happen. So there's a lot of work being done on that. So you hearing any stuff out there from the from Kuala Lumpur and
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think two perspectives. One is, of course, the cybersecurity perspective. First of all, Mark, thank you so much for those thoughts. I think um, it's important. When we talk about such use cases or such areas where baselining could go, I think it just shows how pervasive this technology or this protocol is. Right. I mean, it could go has go to so many lengths and breadths.
well,
Um,
and I've had a lot of architects come in and say, finally, something I can use, you
yeah,
know, without having to, turn into a monk for 18 to 24 months while I flesh out, this, very robust, fully baked, solution that, you know, is going to be a little bit different than what I first thought it was going to be. So,
absolutely.
but at the same time, with Baseline, I'm getting a lot of architects that are coming in and saying, this is a way that I can salvage so much of my so much of my project, and by extension, my reputation.
Hmm.
Uh, Still preserve a lot of the elements. You wanted blockchain capability, you wanted decentralization, you wanted multi-party capability. Well, you, you can achieve all of that
Yeah,
and still use your existing systems.
yeah.
So,
Agree. Agree.
and a lot of these, a lot of the blockchain projects, um, a lot of people didn't contemplate that they were going to have to displace a certain part of the architecture, and just because of what baseline works with, you know, a lot of that is going to be a CRM or an ERP system, and these are massive investments. They're not
Yeah,
going in, you know.
yeah.
and but that's a big value that we can put forth is that yes, you've made this huge investment. Wouldn't you like to make it better? You can now bridge the work environment with your counterparties,
Yeah.
and
I
you
actually
can do this.
Yeah, I actually worked on a project with a very large bank in Canada a few years back, where they were trying to gauge the upstream and downstream impact of implementing blockchain on certain processes. So, and I think that this was one of the biggest areas of concern which came out, that yeah, there's a lot of lifting and shifting which needs to be done when it comes to systems. So yeah, I think that used to be the classic deterrent using blockchain, and I think baseline is also solving that. So the two perspectives I was sharing from Kuala Lumpur as well. One is of course the cybersecurity angle. Of course, the organization that I'm working with, EC Council, that's the it's a known name in cybersecurity world for 20 plus years now, and they are super keen on joining in and contributing and taking it up and running. So what I've done is I have already initiated a project, um, which is an internal project right now, but eventually it'll see the light of the day. But that will be a baseline implementation for cybersecurity. Um, so that's also something which is in the works. I don't want to steal the thunder from Sumit or anybody else who would come in from PC Council and talk about that product being made. The other side is on. I think very interestingly, so while I'm in KL, when we meet when we talk about various use cases of baselining, a good chunk of people that I saw interest in with they I mean, Kuala Lumpur and Singapore are like next door neighbors, right? They don't really see the border between them. So a lot of guys, what I see is Singapore, KL, in fact the whole of Southeast Asia, they see it as like a big market, and they say, yeah, a lot of trade is happening in this region, and what we should do is we should look at all trading, shipping, packaging companies, and eventually let's create a model out here. It's a very cost conscious market also, so people also don't want to be investing a lot of money on their systems, as well as end consumers don't want to get a big uh, you know they don't want their products to become very expensive because they are traceable. So all of that combined, I think this is a good market for baseline sort of use cases. And then one of our buddies says that yeah, if we see good implementation of baselining, then we should replicate that to Europe. I mean, Europe is also one. EU, especially EU region, is one place where you don't see borders and you just go across. While currency may be different at times or not different, and then there is um, all sorts of variables around. So I think yeah, a lot of things brewing up here. Mark and I will, of course, I'll keep you and everybody in the community posted around what's happening. But yeah, one thing I can tell for sure is that not just India, but yeah, entire Southeast Asia seems to be very interested in what's happening with baseline.
So excellent. And
Yeah.
another big thing that is that I think everybody doesn't quite think about until somebody brings it up. Somebody like me brings it up. Is really the crucial aspect of digital identity. Mainly because so many people, how you're going to interact with this new Web 3.0 is going to be through a hot wallet, and we need to get as many people comfortable with using wallets, setting them up, because that is going to be the really the consuming point, the entry point into Web 3, whether it's the metaverse or whatever. This is how you establish your presence, and digital identity is going to be a key component of it, because you have to prove that you are you. And so, um, and all of that is going to happen, at an endpoint, which is generally going to be your phone, because that's where your wallet is going to happen. So, um, uh, yeah, so much more coming out of that, and there's ripple effects really coming through with that. You know, when you open up the possibilities, for you get to control your data, and you do it with your identity. And so, I only want to prove to a threshold that is necessary to satisfy that I have, convinced that I am who I am, and this whatever attribute that I'm putting together is affirmed as well. And this can all be done, very easily. And so many people say, "Well, I don't quite understand that," and I'm like, "You do it now physically. You take out of your physical wallet in your pocket, and you'll pull out either." Whether it's an ID card or a driver's license, or if you keep your passport with you, uh, this just takes that digital. And so, it's something that you can access anywhere at any time. There is no leaving. Now you could leave your phone, at home. But and if you do that, you're going to do the same thing that I would do. With the off chance that I ever leave my phone, I'm going to turn around and go back and get it because I'm not going to be able to, survive very long. So, yes,
Yeah.
I have, I have become dependent on this, small rectangular, electronic, piece of merchandise.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So Mark, I think we had a fantastic freewheeling discussion on baseline today. I'm excited about what's cooking and what is coming very soon for our community members. I think it's time we wrap up today's show. Once again, for those who are watching us on YouTube and currently live, do follow us on Twitter. Extremely important. We do keep posting a lot of cool updates. Do visit our new and improved website, baseline-protocol.org. And here's our GitHub repo. Do visit. If you're a developer, you'll find a lot of interesting things there. And of course, a way to make more money in the future.
And if you want to, come in and kind of walk around the room a little bit, join the Slack channel, the Baseline Slack channel.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the place to be.
That is the place, well,
And
mainly because it puts you right here with all of us.
yeah.
So,
Awesome. So with that, this is Samrat signing off. Thank you so much, Mark, once again, and thank you all the viewers. See you next
excellent.
time.
Keep baselining, get baselining, and keep baselining.
Keep baseline.